how's your relationship with the Murdochs at the moment?
It's very good, actually. We're all very good friends.
They haven't.
Oh, and I'm very good friends with Steve Jobs, I should say, as well. I know it's a shock.
But Murdoch called you a thief and a parasite. That's quite rude. Has he apologized for that?
I did not ask for an apology, nor would I expect one.
Do you think you're a thief and a parasite?
Well, now that's a direct question, and the answer to that question is no. You have another question.
There was a piece, we were just discussing the piece in The Atlantic by James Fallows, which seemed to suggest that there was real serious effort inside Google to engage with this issue of the future of newspaper. Yes. Is that genuine, or is that just because you feel it's bad publicity and you want to put out an olive branch? Why do newspapers matter?
Hopefully Google does not do things because of publicity at all. That would be sort of a violation. We view ourselves as innovators, and we try new things, and we're not perfect and we make mistakes, but hopefully the things that you hear about are sincere efforts to do something new. In the case of news, here's the argument I would make. And again, we'll use the iPhone, iPad, Android phones, and future tablets from other manufacturers and so forth as a metaphor. Think internet first. What does the news reading experience look like some number of years from now? Well, it's clearly going to be on one of these digital devices because you carry it everywhere. It will have color, it will have lots of information, it will have text, of course, it will have video. It'll have the ability to go very deeply. It'll know what you read, and so it'll show you what's changed as opposed to repeating things over and over again. The newspaper often tells me things I already know because I already read it and they forgot I knew it, but it's static, not dynamic. It'll have very, very sophisticated advertising products that are much more multimedia-centric. Think of the current print ads on newspapers can be replaced by multimedia display ads that are likely to be quite lucrative. But the most important thing is that it'll be highly personal, and that the newspaper will be much more of a personal construction. And I was trying to comment earlier that there's some danger that personal construction will narrow the field of view, and the serendipity principle of newspapers is very important. So we'll find some balance in that. So if you follow that line of reasoning, then Google wants to be the company that offers the pieces that I just described to content publications like yourself to do with as you see fit. So the article that you're referring to, Jim's article, basically talked about not only the development of the kind of user interface that I'm talking about, but also monetization, both in terms of advertising formats and subscription formats. The Murdoch comment was really about what are known in the industry as paywalls. And there's a dispute within the industry as whether ultimately news will be charged for through a subscription mechanism or through advertising. My view is we want to enable both, and we'll let the consumers and the businesses that properly own the content make that decision. It's interesting that there are many publicly available free websites that, when offered the opportunity to move to a paywall subscription service, choose not to move because they figured out a way to make enough money from advertising. So that is a model. Others, which are more traditional print publications, want a subscription mechanism because, frankly, that's what they're used to. They're in the subscription business. I think we should try that too.
And how optimistic are you that you can come up with something that will monetize the business?
We will eventually. There's the sort of the snappy saying is that we're replacing analog dollars by digital cents. So I guess that would be pounds and pennies in your case. And the current problem in the industry, in media in general, is that the analog rents, if you will, are being replaced by smaller digital rents for the same technology. And the numbers really are smaller, the gross margins are different, and that's leading to a loss of jobs. It's very real. I'm not trying to suggest it's an easy problem at all. And believe it or not, it's much better here in Britain because of the history of newspapers and I think the British pride and those sorts of things. But in America, for example, there are quite a few very, very unhappy people, especially the regional newspapers and so forth, who fundamentally have been losing their audience at a faster and faster rate. So it's a very severe issue. I believe that ultimately not only will the revenue be replaced, but I think it will be higher. And the reason I believe that is that ultimately the medium is more personal. Fundamentally today you have something where you're targeting a generic price for an ad on television that, the typical example is that the television has an ad, at least on some of your television channels, that's a baby diaper ad, but there's no baby in the house. That's a wasted time slot. They should show something which is more relevant to the people who are in the home, right? So you should be able, over time, to build products that are more targeted and therefore are more lucrative, not less lucrative. So we're in one of those transition periods, and it's very painful to go through them.
China. What's going on? Have you heard from the government?
Yes, we talked to them a great
Today?
deal. I have not talked to them today, using the excuse that I was out of the country and in a different country. The history was that we decided that we did not, the laws require active censorship. We decided to move to Hong Kong, former British protectorate, thank you very much. And the pitch in China is one country, two systems. We like the other system better. So we moved ourselves to Hong Kong, and the way the censorship works is the Chinese government has what is known as the Great Firewall of China, which sits there, and you're not allowed to talk about it very much, but basically content goes through it, and then some content doesn't make it to the other side, and that's how the censorship is done. So we made this decision pretty much unilaterally based on the things that happened to us, to great fanfare, and that's been in place now for a few months. As part of our operations in mainland China, we needed a license called an ICP license in order to run our businesses there. And the Chinese government said, look, you have to make a few more changes. You have to get rid of what is called the redirect. And we didn't exactly have a lot of choice. So we made that change, and that change was done earlier this week. I want to be clear that the Chinese government has the arbitrary ability to shut Google down in China, mainland China, if they should choose to. So far, they have not done so, and we would hope that they would not.
Some people think the redirect is going to be an end to Google in China, and some people believe it's an commercially expedient move on your behalf.
Oh, I can assure you it's not. No coherent commercial business would have made the decisions we made about China. Trust me, this was not a business decision. This was a principled decision, because it puts revenue at risk and those kinds of things. But Google is a different kind of company. We made a decision based on our values and our principles. I'm sure the decisions are surely negative for the standpoint compared to the alternative amount of revenue, but we don't run the company that way. So the answer is I don't know, but I do want to make sure. I think that people who speculate what's going to happen in China don't understand how China works.
How bruised were your engineers' egos when they realized how badly they'd been hacked?
Engineers have egos. That's about all I'll say.
I can catch the business editor of The Guardian with his hand up, so
okay,
that would be rude not to ignore him. So Dan, you've got the last question.
Sorry, I was just dying to ask really. The life cycle of technology companies seems to get shorter and shorter. If something one day will kill Google or replace it or overtake you, what will that be? Or to put it another way, what's your biggest fear? What keeps you awake at night as your threat?
Well, having studied this for a long time, almost all of the deaths in IT are self-inflicted. Large, successful companies, they make mistakes because they don't continue to innovate. They get sloppy, they get slow, they start to believe their own press, what have you. So an example would be, I started my talk by saying, what's new? And I said, nowness. Okay, well, that's a new concept for Google because, 5 years ago, you didn't need to worry about now. We were just busy doing search engine stuff. So we now added real-time information and that kind of stuff. So my fundamental fear about Google is that we have the same fate as other companies, which is that we lose that edge. There are successful models of companies that have been able to maintain that, but they're relatively rare. And so in that scenario, if we lost that edge, we would eventually be a highly profitable but not very relevant company and eventually be bought, which would be sort of a bad thing, although a long, long time from now. So the external threats are likely to occur from truly innovative companies, typically small ones, that manage to see something that we don't see, and then build a big enough business that we can't catch up. And that's the nature of our competition. I don't think that's any different from any other industry. The difference in IT is it happens so fast. The birth-death cycles are so quickly because of the scale of the internet. And I think that's permanent. In other words, it's the next great success will be an even faster success than Google. The one after that will be even faster than Google, just because of the scale of the internet and the reach of the things that I talked about.